I don't think they define us. It's hard for just a few players or line. I think we have a really solid team with unique, a lot of different players, unique players. I think that line in particular is very tenacious. Gino doesn't skate as quick as Q and Fogues, but he's tenacious, he's on pucks, he's physical. So they're all three of that. I thought, if you notice, Q was really physical tonight too. So he added that element again, or he has that element. He doesn't bring it consistently enough. Tonight he did. That line was really good. It's the best they've played all year, there's no question.
Hey Jim, you were trying to, and the players too, were a little bit downplaying the significance of the first Edmonton game. You came back and won twice. Came back from 2 deficits, your first overtime victory of the year. You change your mind a little bit? Does this game mean something now?
No, and it's so tempting to do that, right, based on the results, and that's kind of, as fans and as players and as coaches, we all do the same thing. You swing. If we would have lost the overtime game, we would have been saying, "Yeah, you lost again to Edmonton in overtime, too. Terrible." So it's really hard. It's really hard to separate that. I get it, and we go through the same thing. But no, it was an important game for us, for sure. Getting back on home ice after being gone for 7 games, thought it was. For a game that the players were off for 4 days and then 1 practice, I thought both teams, it's a pretty entertaining hockey game, probably the best or most entertaining hockey game of the year.
You could have started Kopitar and Kempe in overtime, but you didn't.
Could have started Rich in overtime if I wanted. Yeah. No. Well, if I had, I'm sure you would have asked me, why didn't you start Byfield and Fogle? They'd had such a good game tonight, right? So even I got that one right tonight. So fortunately, I made the right choice. No, I thought actually we lost in, where did we lose? The last overtime game. Dennis, you got all the stats, you'd know. Nashville, and I thought Byfield and Fogle played very well in that game. Should have started. It went through my mind to start them in Nashville. Didn't. I told them next time we're in overtime, I owe you one. You guys are starting. It happened. They played really well.
Fogle said his relationship off the ice with Byfield, because they knew each other from Toronto,
Yeah.
goes a long way with respect to having honest conversations about mistakes that he made, or hard conversation. Is that important? Does that?
Oh, I think so. I think it's the most important. You got 2 people that really love hockey and are committed to watching extra video together, talking about it. That's what you want as a coach, right? Getting them as invested as they possibly can. And when guys are taking that upon themselves as a twosome to raise the level together, that's what you want.
Bourne maybe wasn't the biggest name over the summer, in terms of free agents, players that could change teams whatsoever. It's clear, though, that he made a big difference for you guys. What are the elements to him that can make the difference, like tonight or other games that he's made?
Well, he's really competitive. He's got size, which everybody wants size and likes size. But he moves really well. So he is quick. So you put size with a good skater, and he's extremely competitive. And what I've come to, and I've seen some of that, we scout the players and that type of thing, and coach against them. What I've come to really appreciate in getting to know him is just what kind of a student of the game he is, how, hockey, I'm sure his fiance and family, but besides that, hockey is so important to him, and it means a lot to him that he does well. He really has a lot of pride in his game. Probably end up coaching someday, I would think, the type of personality. So that's what I've come to appreciate. We didn't know that about him when you sign a guy. And I just think he's embraced the role, maybe a bigger role than he's had in the past, and he's really ran with it.
How have you been able to get the best out of him? He was answering Austin's question, and they're saying, you are the first coach he's really had that's been able to bring these different sides of his game out. So how have you been able to get that out of him?
I don't know. I just think based on our lineup, he's just got maybe more opportunity than he's ever gotten before. And that's one thing, for the coach to give you opportunity. Then your job is to take the opportunity and run with it. A lot like we've talked about Turk this year. Turk got some opportunity. Well, if he doesn't run with the opportunity, then somebody else gets the opportunity. And it doesn't mean that you don't get another chance again at some other time. But the game is about when your window opens, you taking your opportunity. And sometimes it closes and it comes back again. But Fogues is really just penalty kill. He probably could play on the power play, frankly. We don't want to use him that much. But he's just done a lot of things well.
Looking at Quinton's line in particular, it changed a little in the third period, but for most of the night, played the majority of their minutes against Henrique's line
Yeah.
across the way. Kofi and Dano had the defensive responsibility against their two big guys. How important is it for this team not to just get them to win those matchups, really take over games in those matchups when they have maybe a favorable offensive matchup?
Yeah, you know what? Let's be honest. When you're against McDavid or you're against Raisatel's line, you're probably looking for a wash. You're probably thinking if we can saw this off, that's going to give us our best chance. And then somebody else has to be the line that scores the goals or comes out positive on the evening. So that was really important tonight, and you could see that right from the get-go. I think the first or second shift they hemmed them in right away, so you could see that they had legs and were ready to go. But as the game wore on late in the third, there were times in the second you saw Q take the face-off against, I think it was Draisaitl at that point. So we got them out there against those guys too, and they did a really good job there.
Was that a conversation you had with them before the game that you were going to rely on them a lot offensively with Kofi and Dano taking maybe more of the defensive responsibility? Was that kind of implied with that matchup?
Yeah, normally I wouldn't talk too much about that, but tonight in particular I did. I talked to them not about the offense, but I told them that they were probably playing against McDavid at different times and what that looks like, and to be ready for that.
You mentioned Q's physicality, also had a couple big face-off wins in the first period. Seemed like he was really throwing. So do you find when he is he's using his body and he's detail-oriented, that kind of goes into his offensive game, not so much in the results, but just in his assertiveness with the puck and that sort of thing?
100%. You can ask him that question yourself next time you get the opportunity. That would benefit me. I think anytime you're invested in the game, emotionally, physically, you just do better. And over a long season, I understand that it's not easy to do every night. Some nights you just don't have it. But when you see a player invested like that, you're like, okay, he's on it. This is hard, and he's physical. He's in it, and he was tonight.
Speaking of physicality, we talked a lot about Mikey Anderson, but I think season high time and ice tonight, kind of uptick in his snarl a little bit too. Is that kind of what you were kind of looking for when you say to elevate his game throughout the season?
Yeah, he's really done that, hasn't he? I know we talked about that early, and I think he's probably, Russell, probably in the last month, even gone from where we'd hope he was here. We hoped he'd get to here. I think he got there, and now he's gone a level above that. I would give him that over the last month, and that's exciting. I think it's good for a player to when he realizes he can do that and at that level. And the thing that's really standing out about Mikey is he's doing it at an obscene amount of minutes. Probably too many, but he's still being able to hit that level with that many minutes. That's something we didn't know about Mikey. We didn't know we had that kind of an engine to be able to sustain it over those many minutes against that quality of competition.
With Quinn, we've talked a lot about the offense not coming earlier in the year, but you kind of stayed on the idea that the chances are coming, they'll eventually go in. They are going in now. Do you think that just it was a matter of time thing, or are you seeing a significant boost in his confidence the way he's playing the game right now?
I thought he was our best player in Washington. I thought played very well in Nashville. I thought he was our best player in Washington. So, it goes up and down. It really does, and players get into streaks. And I think that the longer you get in your career where you have gone through the streaks, the ups and downs, and have just really solidified. I think of Kopi. He's the greatest example. He's just like this. He knows if he's not scoring for a little bit, no big deal. He's going to start scoring sooner or later. He just has that baseline where he knows it. And I still think Q is trying to hit that watermark where he just knows, okay. I think, he's maybe pressing a little bit before, but he'll get there, like all players, young players will.
Coach, you mentioned that you just bring up Kopitar, right? So as Kopitar is getting to the last couple of years of his contract, is it a promising sign when you see a young player like QB take over the game like he did today?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that it relates to Kopi necessarily. I think I don't look at Kopi as I just look at Kopi as he's just keep going, just whatever. He's just keep on playing. I don't even think about his contract. But it's nice to see Q. There'll be a day when Kopi won't be here, and you hope Q just keeps progressing and is able to do some of the things that Kopi's been able to do over his career.
It seemed you guys were really patient, especially in that overtime period. Was that something that you said specifically in the huddle, or did you say go out there and play? Yeah,
no, we just wanted to get out there and play, just survive. But I thought in some of we had the puck more in this overtime than we have in some of the other overtimes, which against Edmonton in overtime is difficult to do. But I was glad to see us hang on to it, threaten, took it to the net a couple times, Mikey. So yeah, it was a good overtime period. Of course, it's great when you score, but just generally, I thought we controlled some play in overtime, which we haven't done that much this year.